record. Here we go. Welcome, welcome. It is recording. I'll do a quick little intro for anybody who's watching this for the first time. I am Ben Dooley, MCC coach. I am here to grow coaches. The coaches who have come to this webinar, thank you all for being here. My commitment is to help each and every one of you and all the other coaches out there as best I can truly be the coaches. So, everybody could, or somebody, whoever just joined in, if you could mute yourself, we've got a little echo feedback. Thank you. This call this webinar is created really, as many of you know, part of the various Facebook groups that coaches here, safe bet, all of you are striving to achieve your ICF credential or your credential from your coach training or some kind of credential, or you're looking ahead and seeing it coming down. It's a safe assumption. If you are not one of those, there's still stuff here for you to implement and incorporate into your coaching. And that is my quest and commitment to help each and every one of you wherever you are in your stages. This is a compilation of a lot of this when I do one-on-one calls. You might see me on the various groups saying, hey, give me a call. I'm happy to help you. A lot of the times, this stuff I'm putting in there, I'm getting to pack in more because we've got a longer time frame to play with. But these are a lot of the common questions, a lot of the common traps, a lot of the common issues, and also the common tips and tricks to help you get focused, get sharp, and be able to truly reveal the coach you are here to be for that exam. I did make a little bit of a joke earlier, but I'll repeat it again because it actually was right spot on. I first want to thank you all for signing up to being a part of this webinar. This helps me. It helps you. It helps everybody. It will help your future clients. It will help future coaches. It just helps. So thank you for signing up and thank you for showing up. Because if you're not here, I'm just doing I'll do it anyways and I'll record it, but it's going to be a little less interesting without everybody there. And and I'm going to actually change this to speaker view, since that's all you're here to look at is me and my lovely rosy face. All right, gang. So signing up and showing up. And I actually really quickly threw out, that is actually the first and probably the only real big secret you need to know about your certification is sign up, like put in your commitment, make your commitment. And when you sign up to take your exam, you're locked in. When you go to the ICF website and you lock it in with your payment, you will get sent a link that says, great, send us everything you've got. You are in, you've signed up, and now you are committed. Commitment is one of the powerful tools that we get to use in our coaching. It's more than probably what you think you know, and what you know is already great. But there's so much more to explore in the world of commitment. And commitment, in this case, it really helps us keep moving on our path when we get overwhelmed, when we get stuck, when we get frustrated. So signing up is the first thing. The second thing, which you all are doing right now, is show up. Like actually take the time to bring yourself here and not just show up physically and visually, but really bring your full self to this. In the work that I do, I train, I grow, I develop coaches of all levels, and there is technique, there is deepening and strengthening our coaching skills. There is providing tools and insights and adjustments on how to do it easier or better or deeper. But the ultimate real focus of the work that I do, and I really think we do in our coaching, is to work the coach, to grow the coach, you. Not just the physical coach, the whole coach, that deep inner part of you that is brilliant, amazing, skilled, passionate, purposeful, powerful, everything. And by being able to connect to that coach, then you're able to bring that coach more fully to whatever you're doing. So that really is that part of showing up. Like, you get to show up more than just as a coach taking an exam. You get to show up as a coach fully, bringing your whole self to the game. So that's a part of what we're going to do today on today's call, because there's only so much we can tackle. But suffice to say, I'll do a quick little just information here. I have a powerful mentor group that I'm happy to send links to. I'm not going to do a big commercial for, but I'll pass along a link if anybody's interested. I have an unparalleled advanced coaching training course called the MasterFull U coaching program, and it contains that mentor group, but it's also the Fast Pass to Masterful Coaching training, which is a powerful 28 lessons. This is not even part of that. All the stuff that we're going to do today is got little hints and glimmers of what the bigger thing is about, but this is even just on its own. And by the way, for that advanced course, you must be a trained coach. You don't need to be a certified coach. So at any point, that would be available because you're all trained. So, and all of that work is designed to help you bring your full self to your coaching. And here's part of the reason why I feel, well, first off, isn't that what we're doing with our clients and our coaching? Like, with our clients, we're not fixing their problems. We're not, doing all of that stuff. We're helping them stretch and grow and discover their full selves so that they can bring their full selves to their lives. And the same is true for growing our coaches. So you get the benefit of that as well as more benefits. And the reason why this is so important is well, let's take a look at what your clients are going through, but in this case, what you're going through to some degree, maybe a little bit or a lot, which is when we are faced with some type, let's go extreme first, right? If you're walking down the street and it's late at night and there's nobody around, and you start to hear the sound of like footsteps behind you, and you can't see who's there and what's going on, you get scared, you get nervous. When something jumps out at you, or when you're driving on the street and a car suddenly screeches, and you jump and your adrenaline kicks in. And we have millions of examples where we experience that simple syndrome: fight, flight, or freeze. This should be all familiar stuff. Fight, grab a stick and start swinging. Flight, turn and run. Freeze, everything shuts down and just hope the problem goes away. And when that happens, we literally lose connection with our cerebral cortex, our frontal lobe, where all of our intelligence and creativity lies. So when we get some type of threat, some type of danger occurs, something that triggers us into our survival mode, we literally are unable to think creatively and powerfully. Now, this translates to your clients, definitely. They're coming to you with unsolvable problems. Why are they unsolvable? Somebody unmute and tell us, why are your clients coming to you with unsolvable problems? Why are they unsolvable? Anyone? Take a guess. I promise you, every single one of your clients is coming to you with an unsolvable problem. Why?
They're afraid to face it.
They're afraid to face it, possibly, yeah. What else?
Uncertain how to resolve it.
They're uncertain how to resolve it.
They're in the same mental pattern that created the problem.
Right, they're in the same mental pattern, they're in the same level, they're in the same environment, they're in the same situation that created the problem. The simplest is, if they could solve the problem, they would. right? They can't, so they're coming to you to solve and fix their problem. Coach, I can't do this. I can't figure it out. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to fix this problem. I need you to help me fix this problem. There's all those reasons why, and those are powerful reasons to help us discover this is where their problem is getting stuck, or, you know, it's on a different plane or all that. There's so much more to explore about that. Oh boy. But the short, simple answer is they're coming to you with an unsolvable problem, because if they could solve it, they would. And because it's an unsolvable problem, there is a threat. There's a dire consequence. There's impending doom. There is something bad will happen if I don't fix this problem. So that pressure, even to a little degree, that pressure builds a little bit. That threat level in that survival mode kicks in even just a little bit, and their access and ability to think creatively and intelligently and with open possibility and powerfully gets closed down. This is every single one of your clients to some degree. Some really shut down, some just a little bit. And so everything that we're doing in our coaching is all about revealing the client to themselves and helping to lower their threat level and raise access to their creativity and intelligence, possibility, and power. Now, that's your clients. Here's where you're going through too. You have a certification exam coming up. And if you pass it, hooray, you get credentials, you get celebrations, people love you, you get to prove and tell people you're a certified coach, and it's exciting and rewarding and wonderful. And if you fail, then you will be severely punished. You will be embarrassed. You will be humiliated. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there is something to that. I have to pass to get rewards, and I cannot fail, because then there will be consequences. And our threat level, your threat level, is getting stimulated to some degree. So it's making it harder for you to even access your own creativity, intelligence, your own power. Now, there are things also that add to this. There's a lot of unknowns. There's I've got this exam, this written CKA exam coming up. Well, I don't even know. I've never done this before. I don't know what it's going to be like. So that unknown creates a threat.
Go ahead and log in, KJ.
Yeah, go ahead. You've got a recordings that you need to present. I don't know what they're looking for. I don't know what's going to be a good recording. I don't know what's going to be right. There's these unknown factors. You have, and in this moment, unsolvable problems that come with dire consequences and impending doom. And therefore, already the knowledge that you have is getting tamped down, and you're losing the ability to think creatively and clearly. So part of this call is two major purposes here. The first, provide lots of information to fill in those gaps and clarify all those unknowns so that there's less threat, there's less danger, there's less unknowns and unfamiliars, and less triggers to fight, flight, or freeze. And also to help give you tools to strengthen and grow, to help you access that brilliant, beautiful coach you already are. Because here's my assertion. It's not even an assumption. I assert that each and every one of you are already beautiful, powerful, amazing coaches. You've all been trained to some degree, for some training area, for some, however, the fact that you're going for your certification exam indicates you have to have been trained already. And it's an ICF accredited, approved school and training, which also is a pretty safe assumption. You know what you're doing. It's just allowing yourself to sink into, discover, and reveal that coach that has been activated and stimulated and engaged and stretched and grown. So That's the bigger work. Anytime, I'm here to help. Mentor group classes, whatever. I've got tons of free resources I'm going to tell you about a little bit later. But that's really what this is about here too. Dispel the myths, clarify and fill in all the gaps and all the unknowns so it's less threatening and scary and dangerous, and stretch and grow and provide solid structure for your best full coaching self to show up. And that's where we get to go. Okay. And as I said before in the announcements, I'm going to run through this. I've got a basic outline. I'm going to run through this. Hold all your questions, check them off as I answer them. Anything left over, then I'll leave space at the end for what questions do you have? Because I want to make sure this is as full and complete a resource and a support for each and every one of you. So first off, I'll also clarify, I've been mentoring and growing coaches for over 15 years. I have had my share of failing. I failed my first exam. I'm going to tell you about that later because it's powerful. I failed my first exam even before I went for my ACC. And then I failed my MCC 3 times. Each one powerful learning. I actually chronicled and wrote the entire story in a 17-part newsletter series that's available on my website. So it's the whole journey. So I know what it is to fail, and I know what it is to get past that and to rise above it. So I'm gonna, I'll save the big crazy statement claim for later. Here's where we're going to start off. First, all of this is unofficial. I am not a representative of ICF. I am not part of the assessment board. I am not part of anything of that level. But as I continue to mentor and guide and grow, it's my job to be on top of what is happening. So I'm constantly in conversation with ICF, constantly asking questions for clarification on my client's behalf and the coaches that I work with, constantly making sure that this is up to speed. So everything I give you is my own experience, and I'm pretty confident my own experience has been right on every single time. So take this, use this. If something doesn't make sense for you or doesn't fit or you disagree, that's okay. Toss it out. Keep everything else. So I bring that because here's my understanding of the different levels of ICF credentialing. Most of you, I'm going to assume, are going for your ACC. There may be a couple on here or listening to this later who are going for your PCC, and there might even be those who are really interested in checking out the MCC. All the requirements are posted on the website. Here's the difference on where I start to, when I'm evaluating and listening to coaching. This is what I'm listening for. ACC. You've got the was 11 core competencies, now 8 core competencies. And what they're listening for is that. They've actually given you their criteria and their checklist. This is not new information, but I'm just declaring it so that it's really clear. Everything they're looking for is contained in those 8 core competencies. Simple. Here's what we're looking for, do it. Because those core competencies are the basic design of this is what we as an organization have discovered and declared this is what coaching is. And if you're doing these 8 things, then you're coaching. And if you're not doing these 8 things, then you're not coaching. Simple. So when we look at the ACC level, it's really, they just want to see competency. They want to see that skill, they want to see that training, they want to see that knowledge, but they're not looking for brilliance. They're just looking for you and your skill, just your competency. They want to see those 8 competencies showing up, and showing up not just kind of by luck and random, but really showing up confidently. so that they can go, oh, wow, that was some really nice, deep listening. Oh, what beautiful presence they have. You know what? There's such wonderful trust and connection here. All of these things that they're able to recognize. PCC is that higher level. And this is where they're looking, it's professional certified coach. And so they're looking for consistency. All those 8 core competencies showing up consistently. Not just, hey, this was a really good moment here and this was really great there. It's, wow, that was just across the board, some really nice listening, some beautiful, deep, powerful questions and direct communication and creating some deep awareness, beautiful trust, beautiful relationship and partnering throughout the coaching. And that just comes through a lot of things, often through practice, tweaking, altering, mentoring, guiding, noticing where your weak spots are and your traps are. When we talk about MCC, it really is, to my experience, it's about all 8 core competencies every single moment simultaneously. And we talk about like establishing the coaching agreement. The mythology is that is only at the beginning. Well, we only do it at the beginning of our coaching session. What are we going to talk about? I'm going to get into that later. What are we going to talk about? Let's establish the agreement. How are we going to work together? Great. We're talking that PCC, consistency, and that MCC every moment. We are constantly establishing and creating and redesigning and developing our partnership and our agreements. We are constantly deepening in our discovery and exploring and creating awareness. Even when we get into sending them off into some type of action, actions are showing up everywhere. So it really is owning that model and that design. Here's a couple of other traps that coaches may fall into before we go into the structure. You may be a fantastic, wonderful, great coach in the coaching that you do. You've been trained, you've had a mentor, you've had trainers, you've had classes, courses, you've done practice sessions, and you've learned a specific methodology or approach based on the ICF Core Competencies, highly likely. But still, every school, every training has their own, yeah, but this is how we do it. So you may be really great, or you may be naturally fallen into it and you found what works for you. And this is my style and this works for me. And my clients love my coaching and they get great experiences from it. And that's great. But to also recognize what they're looking for at ICF is not what you do on your own. They're not interested in how wonderful and incredible and great a coach you are at your coaching or at your school's coaching. That is highly critical and important. It's one of the areas that I thrive and I love growing coaches in what is your coaching style that's built on all the foundation you've learned. But as far as ICF is concerned, they just want to know how well you're doing ICF coaching. So that's simple. Sometimes the challenge, especially when we get to the higher levels like PCC and especially with MCC, we've gotten so good at what we're doing that we have to unlearn and let go of what works so brilliantly and powerfully and go to what is the simple, basic structure of ICF coaching. So now let's break apart. There's differences in the 3 different levels as far as skill, as far as competency, as far as all those markers and levels. But the preparation is pretty much the same across the board. Because again, it's all about bringing your full self. If you're an ACC level coach, then just bring that ACC coach out. If you're a PCC or an MCC coach, it's being that coach and learning how to bring him or her out. That's it. So the levels are different, but the preparation is the same and the blocks are the same. So we're going to look at the different structures and categories that are required for each of the for all exams, whatever level you are, you got to go through these requirements in order to pass. First is the question that is constantly showing up is the coach knowledge assessment. This is, for those who aren't familiar yet, I'll clarify, this is ICF's approach on accessing your intellectual knowledge of coaching. This is all intellectual, it's all cerebral, it's all what do you know? It's 155 questions, they're all multiple choice, and it's designed in the container and the reference of those 8. It was originally created on the 11 core competencies, and most likely they need to redesign them because now they've redesigned the 8 core competencies. But suffice to say, even the 8 core competencies, they didn't necessarily, or the 11 core competencies that were originally there, they didn't necessarily get rid of anything, they rearranged and condensed. So all the information is still there as to what's in the coach knowledge assessment. It's all about the core competencies. If you look at every single one of those questions, you can easily identify, oh, this is about establishing the agreement. Oh, this is about deep listening. Oh, this is about creating awareness. So right there, that's the first thing to get. The second thing is that it's a multiple choice question. So they're looking for a particular right answer. And it's not going to be a trick answer. The one thing to remember, and this is with ICF, and this is with your school and your training, they're actually not trying to trip you up. They're not intending to confuse you, and they're not attempting and working really hard to catch you, and then you'll fail, and then you'll be disgraced, and you won't get your certification because only the elite get this certification. That's not true at all. If we look at it, it's to their best advantage if they have more certified coaches. If ICF has more ACC, PCC, and MCC coaches, that is great for the industry. If your school and your training has more certified coaches, that's great for them. Look at all the credentialed coaches we have. So they want you to succeed. They want to make sure there's integrity in all of those coaches that have passed and been approved. So they want to make sure that you're at a level, but they're not trying to get you. They're really working and cheering for you. They want you to succeed. And so with this certification coach knowledge assessment, they've created this multiple choice design to hopefully make it easier. It may not be for some people, but the intention is to make it easy. And so looking at those 4 answers, really the first idea is to go with your natural gut impulse. Remember, you're asking the coach, not the freak out, oh crap, I got to get it right thing, because that's creating stress, that's creating threat, and that shuts down. It's accessing the coach that you are. We'll get to that too, don't worry. So it's asking that coach, what would I answer? What would this coach answer this question? And it's really, most of them are pretty simple. For example, you're coaching your client, and your client starts going into a long and detailed story, and they're going off into some direction, and you have no idea what they're even talking about anymore, and they almost probably likely they don't either. They're just going into a long story. What do? A, quickly jump in and interrupt and saying, client, shut up, you talk way too much. I got stuff to say too. A. B, put down the phone or turn off your camera, go and get some coffee, come back 5 minutes later, you haven't missed anything. C, politely intrude and check into seeing if your client is still on the path that they want to be on. Or D, intrude and say, hey, that reminds me of a time when I had this thing happen. Somebody unmute and shout out, what's the answer?
C.
Hey, of course, of course. Most of them are designed that clear and obvious. Some of them will have two answers that you can make an argument for. Well, gee, it could be this, it could be that. Go with your best guess. Ask this coach what that answer is and take your guess. Sometimes there's three answers. Sometimes there's none. None of these make sense. This is weird because they're trying to phrase the questions in ways that would make sense. And sometimes it makes sense to some people, but it doesn't to others. Don't worry about any of that because you have a 70% fail rate or pass fail option. That means that you can miss 30% of the questions and still pass. Now, I don't know, and I'm not making any big claims, but I don't know if there's been any coach that's actually gotten 100%. Possibly, but I would doubt it because there are various questions in there that are just kind of confusing. It's okay. So the recommendation is to just go through it, follow your impulse, follow your intuition, follow your coach knowing. And the purpose of that is to, again, it's going to take time, but you're not being timed. They're not going to shut you down. And so it's going through that without getting hung up on questions. Because when you start getting hung up on a question, then that threat mode starts to get activated. Oh, I got to come up with the right answer. What is it? It could be B. I don't know. Maybe it's C. Oh, it could be D. Oh, I don't know. And now that threat level gets activated, which actually will start to impact all the other questions. So for this, to actually, if you hit a trouble spot and you can't answer it in faster than 5-6 seconds after you read through it, it's okay. Mark it. Come back. Do your best guess. Come back. Come back later. Because part of what also then occurs is you've gone through the whole program, the whole exam. You've actually built up resource and proof in you. I did all right. I got most of these already. I just have these 10, 20, 30 to go. So you're already standing in a stronger place of knowledge and wisdom and owning and power. And then you get to go back and handle those questions much more easily because you're accessing your intelligence, your creativity, your knowledge, your wisdom, and your power to those questions. Making sense? Want to check in? Nodding heads? Everybody, yes? Yeah, it totally makes sense. I get it now. It's brilliant. I love it. Everybody else is no cameras are on. John's the other. There we go. Some other coaches showing up. Thank you. like everybody else is just on no camera. Okay. I moved it. I changed my gallery view and now I messed it up and this is not, here we go. Speaker. Okay. All righty. How to prepare for the coach knowledge assessment? Pretty easily. Yeah, you can always type in the chat as well. How to prepare is pretty easy. First off, if you've been trained and your school is approved by ICF and therefore they are following and adhering to the Icf Core Competencies, you have been training. It may not be an intellectual, I get it, of course I know, but you know. How to help strengthen and grow that intellectual part of you is pretty simple. A, you can go to the ICF website. You can contact me, Ben, at bedo.org, and I'm happy to give you my list of the ICF Core Competencies. Even just that simple list can be enough to refresh what you already know. I'm going to point to another resource that can be really helpful. It's a resource actually that I host called the Coaching Skills Forum. You can find all that information at coachingskillsforum.com. I cannot recommend enough going there. These are calls that happen twice a month. Coaches from all over the world gather on our conference line and we explore one single skill in our coach training, from bottom lining to creating awareness to trust and intimacy to everything over, I think it's like 88 different skills that we're exploring. And we go into deep conversation about what is it really? What are we talking about? And what makes it important and what gets in our way? And the reason I'm pointing you to this is hopefully pretty obvious, is that if you go to the website, coachingskillsforum.com, you can access our resource of over 340 recordings that you can listen to on your own because they're all free. They're all free. Take them. I've been doing these calls for 15 years now, and they continue to be powerful, amazing, coach growing, packed with wisdom. Every single call you will leave with another insight and deepening, because it is the collective wisdom of all the coaches who show up. If you can, join these calls live. They are so much fun. But at the very least, go to the website and sign up. It's a free sign up. And you'll be able to access all those recordings, and the list of all the skills are listed right there. So if there's one in the core competencies that you're kind of like a little curious about, then go and check out one of those recordings. And we're going deeper than the here's how to do listening. It really is going deeper into the skill and the art of listening, and the skill and the art of accountability, and the skill and the art of witnessing and celebrating and championing your clients. So go check out. That is an amazing resource for all coaches, whether or not you're preparing for an exam. Go, please. Other than that, there really is, if we overthink it and we overdo it and we start to, the website again for that is coachingskillsforum.com. If we start hyper-focusing on the making sure we're doing it right, I got to get all the core competencies, I have to memorize all of them. Now remember, notice how that threat level is starting to go in. So there's that fine line and that balance that you get to find of how much do you feed yourself of information, and how much do you need to just trust you already know what you need to know. My guess is you know more than you think you do. If you want to test it and practice it a little bit, go to the ICF website, and they actually have a practice exam that's 10 questions. So go and check that out and see how much you actually do know. You'll be surprised. Hopefully this answers all the questions about the CKA, because there's more to go. If you have any other questions, by the way, for any of these things, we're going to save space at the end of this call for that. You can always contact me directly, and I'm happy to answer them one-on-one. But we got to move on, because I know there are coaches on this group that are looking to get more hours. I got to get clients. I've got only so many hours. I need 100 for ACC. I need 500 for PCC. I need 2,500 for MCC, and I need hours. And I go on the Facebook groups, and I see constantly coaches looking for peer coaching. And hey, anybody want to coach with me? And anybody want to practice and get some hours with me? And by all means, there's nothing wrong with supporting each other. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And it's a great place to get a little practice. Yeah, you can also knock up a couple extra hours. But time and again, it's actually not a powerful coach growing resource. It's a place to just get some coaching hours. There's nothing against the coaches that you're working with, because they're all great coaches too. But if we look at the purpose of this, the purpose of these hours is to show your experience. And part of that is by amassing 100 hours, you've had 100 different coaching sessions, or 500, or whatever, that explore range, that explore content, that explore style and approach and different clients. And what often happens is coaching clients, they start kind of becoming very similar. A lot of the topics end up being the same. Sometimes there's differences, but what even happens more than that is that you're working with a highly trained client. They know what you're doing. They're not doing this on purpose, but they're actually taking away your coaching work. So it's, for example, so it feels like there's kind of a fear going on that's getting in the way. A fear. Yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, you're right. Here is my fear. Here's my fear. I'm going to tell you my fear. So it occurs to me that there's some values that might be getting overlooked. Values. Yeah, you know what? Actually, yeah, because here's my values and this is what's going. They're doing, the coaching is wonderful, but they're doing a lot of the work, not necessarily the work that clients should be doing. Because yes, the clients are doing the work in the coaching, but when they start taking away your job as a coach, again, nothing wrong with it, but it's not a place for you to stretch and grow. So either you're working with a coach who's at a higher level than you, or you're working with a coach who knows how to turn off their coach and just be a full client. And so go for that. But my recommendation is to actually go and try and work out and reach out to coach normal people, non-coaches. Yes, I know. Let's be honest. You got to be a little wackadoodle to be a coach. That's a whole different conversation. Reach out. Go to Facebook. Go to LinkedIn. Go to your emails. Go to your circles. Go to your other job. Go to your community. Go to your friends and family. Go to anywhere and put yourself out there and say, I've got a few more hours I need to knock off for an exam. Could you please help me? This works so powerfully and simply because everybody loves to help. Part of the challenge, especially as new coaches, we haven't discovered our niche, we haven't discovered our power, we haven't discovered our benefit, our marketing angle. And who's ever not muted, oh dear. Oh, now I'm muted. Okay. I need an admin who can run this with me. Hey, I got this all taken care of, so I can just roll. So whoever is got music playing, hopefully you can hear me. Please mute yourself. Mute. How do I mute others? I should know this. Audio settings.
Irina Ulmasova, mute your phone, please.
I know. Wait, I got it. Here we are. Participants, here we go. And, oh, well, thank you. Okay, mute all. Okay. You can unmute if you need to share something. Thank you. Now I was saying something really brilliant. I'll go back to my notes. Oh, reach out to normal people. Reach out to your community. Reach out to Facebook groups. Reach out to everybody because, and you're asking them to help. People love to help. And it's different than trying to get clients, which puts a bit of pressure on you and it puts a little bit of pressure on them. Nobody wants to be gotten, right? I'm going to get you. I got everybody here on this group. I'm going to get you. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants to be gotten, to be seen, to be recognized. I get you. And so when we're reaching out and asking for help, we're actually reaching out to their humanity, to their beautifulness. And everybody loves to help. I can tell you, and I have a much more detailed structure in this, which it will be in an offer. It's in my class, it's in my work that I do, but the simple version of it is just send out an email or a post on Facebook, LinkedIn, emails, groups, wherever you are, and just show up, ask for help. That's it. I've got to get 10 more hours. I need to get 5 more hours. I need to get 20 more hours, and I just need some help. And if you need to charge for that, that's okay. There's no rule about how much or little you have to charge. You just need to charge something so that you're instilling and creating that transfer agreement of goods. I do this for you. It's not just I'm giving it away of my own happiness and joy. So charge $500 if you need to or want to. And if they go yes, charge $100 or $10. And whatever country you're in, charge a little bit. You can even barter for experience and service. One of the best things I ever did going through certification was I reached out. I said, hey, I need help. I need people to coach. Who would love to be my partner and to help me in this and get some great coaching? And a woman signed up who was going through massage school. You can bet we exchanged bartering services. And that was the best deal to this day. No matter how much I make as a coach, that is the best exchange I've ever had. I got free massages for a year. Brilliant. Website development, VA work, anything. If you've got somebody out there who can help you do something, then barter, exchange. Now everybody wins. So that's the simple way to go out and just get those extra hours. Yeah, you can reach out to the coaching community, but reach out to your greater community. And nowadays, that's even more important. It's even more important because we're all struggling and all confused and all scared with the pandemic that's going on in the States. There's election stuff and there's politics and there's race things and there's issues in every country. I mean, there's multiple countries here in this meeting. And in every single country, there is stuff going on that people are freaked out about. Economy, civil rights, just even my own, unemployment and jobs and all that stuff. Wherever you are, your community is freaking out. So reach out to them. Let them know you are here to help. And by that, they get to help you. I promise you, you put the word out and you put it out nice and wide, you will get more hours than you possibly need. And if you don't, here's first thing, if you do not, and that means really don't just put it out to like, well, I send an email to these 5 people. No, put yourself out there fully. Remember how to pass, sign up, you get committed, show up. And that's here, you show up. I am here to coach. Put it out there and you will get return. And if you don't, contact me, I'll give you a complimentary session. That's how you get your hours. Another requirement is you need to get, most of you need a mentor of some sort. There are mentors everywhere. I'm not excited to say, but there is a truth. Not all coaches are great mentors. Not all coaches, they may be great coaches, but they may not be great teachers and growers. So when you're looking for a mentor coach, there's hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of coaches out there, many coaches who love to jump in and coach coaches. There's a couple of things here. Coaching coaches seems like it's easy, but from my perspective, I'm here to tell you, it actually isn't. Coaching a coach is tricky, challenging, and important. Try to do a magic trick in front of a room full of magicians. Really hard, because they know what you're doing. They know what to look for. They can see all that's going on, and they're 5 steps ahead of you. And that's when you're working with coaches. Coaches are knowing what they're doing, but even more so, all the work that I do with my coaches, even if it's just coaching, but all the way I'm showing up, everything that I'm bringing is having an impact and influence. So when you're looking for a mentor coach, look at what you can get beyond just the ICF credentials, because you can get 10 hours anywhere. You can get 10 hours through the ICF. They have a reciprocal coaching program, and you sign up and you get those hours anywhere. So look at what it is that you want to get out of this. What is your criteria, your value? You have got somebody that you are able to ask any question of, that you're able to bring any situation to, that is there, committed and devoted, not just to give you hours, to grow you. And there's a lot of great coaches out there who are clear, powerful mentors. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of great ones out there. But it helps you find each other when you get clear what you're looking for. Do you want somebody who can help you fill in the gaps in your certification training and your skills? Do you want somebody who can actually help you get sharper and better in what you do? Do you want somebody to help you grow and stretch your business? Do you want somebody that's going to just, that you can bring your coaching problems and issues to with your clients? What am I going to do? How do I work with this client? Take a look at where you're getting stuck in your coaching, and that's the coach you're looking for. If you want to be more of a easygoing, laid-back coach, because you're not, find one who is. If you want to be more edgy and more like dangerous and more really like hardcore, find a coach who is. Find the coach who represents the coach that you want to be, and then go for that. There's other issues like price and scheduling and availability and blah, 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 blah. But look at what you want out of this. Okay, hopefully we've answered all questions there, because now we're going to go to the wonderful recordings. Dun, 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 dun. You must provide an example of your coaching. And that's one of the big things that throws a lot of coaches off. I don't know what they're looking for. Yeah, I got it. They're looking for the core competencies, but what does that mean? And how do they see the core competencies? And will they be able to recognize and understand and see that I'm doing these core competencies? So here's one of the big common traps across the board. This is one of the reasons why oh, thank you, Chris. Chris is confirming. She did a Facebook post, got tons of hours to see it works, and not just to coaches, because we're all just cycling upon ourselves. But if we reach out, by the way, extra bonus, you're inviting the rest of the world into the coaching conversation. And who knows, you may not just get some practice and hours clients, you may get real long-term clients from that. And there's tons of other benefits of that, of helping to discover and clarify your niche and identifying where your strengths and your power lies and all of that stuff. So thank you. Beautiful. Go. So your coach recordings. This is one of the biggest traps that coaches will fall into. And it's not our fault necessarily. But this is one of the reasons why coaches end up failing their exam. I have strong beliefs, maybe not all 3 times I failed my MCC, but I know for a fact it was how I failed at least once, was because how they saw was different than how somebody else would see. It's up to interpretation. The simple fact is I got my MCC, I got my first certification way back when because I did it right, according to their criteria. That particular evaluator had their own, they had the checklist of the core competencies, but they had their own identification and definitions as to what that means and how to recognize it. And it's a whole separate story. I won't go into it, but it was very revealing, the notes that I got that really indicated, oh, I didn't fail because of your opinion, not because I wasn't showing up fully. So they're evaluating you from what they think and what they know coaching to be. Now, the good news is that's really common. It was common for MCC. And actually, to ICF's credit, they've been working really hard to train the evaluators to open up, to recognize different styles, different ways that the core competencies are revealed and show up. So this is becoming less of an issue. It's less of an issue even with PCC because it's much more of a commonality about what PCC coaching really is. And for ACCs, it's really easy. There's a great commonality. This is what ACC coaching is. All the evaluators are on terms of that. So the whole thing about, well, what are they looking for? How will I please them? How will they do this? You don't actually need to worry about that. You just need to show up and reveal the beautiful coach you are here to be. There's a couple ways I'm going to help you do that. First, actually, the way to do that, record all coaching possible. That's it. As much coaching as you possibly can record them. Doesn't mean you have to record all of them. There's no requirement. It's not a checklist. If it ends up being 5, great. If it ends up being 10, 15, 20, whatever. The point is record as many as you can. There's reasons for this, and there's benefits, powerful benefits. First off, you got to submit a recording. And if you just record one recording, that's the one you got. And it better be what they're looking for. So if you record several, now you have options. You actually are in a position now to choose the one that represents you best. We want to find a recording that shows you off to the best of your ability. So when you have more calls, simple. Now you can choose the one that fits best. The other benefit is that you know it's going to happen. The one session that you didn't record went brilliantly and you failed to record it. Oh, if only I had gotten that one. That was the best. So if you just make it a practice to record, I'm just going to record whatever it is, just record it. If 5 minutes into it, you realize, you know what, this is a crappy coaching session. I mean, it's a great coaching session, but it's not going to work for ICF. I had a ton of those. Don't worry about it. Then let it go and just coach. Coach the way you already beautifully do. And it's just a wash recording. But you don't want to miss the one that was beautiful and that was perfect for you. There's also some additional benefits that come from this. When you start to record several recordings, then you actually naturally start self-evaluating. You'll actually, because look, let's be honest, I'm not saying record 20 coaching sessions and then go back and listen to all of them. That would be exhausting. But what naturally starts to happen is you're automatically starting to self-evaluate and categorize. Yeah, that coaching didn't work at all. I mean, the client got great stuff, but I totally got off the coaching model. I did a little advice. I did a little of this. It's not going to work as a recording. And then, hey, this felt pretty good. This was one that what I think might go into the category. I'm going to make up numbers, but if you had 20 recordings, you might find like 5 or 7 that 5 or so that are really, these feel right. And the more you're listening to that lens of what's working, what's not working, you start to separate that coaching. It's not that your coaching is bad. It's that, does it fit what ICF is looking for? And you're training yourself by listening for that. Don't do it while you're coaching. Because if you do that while you're coaching, your attention is, am I doing it the right way? Am I covering everything here? Am I making sense? Am I doing that right? Am I answering the questions? Am I asking powerful questions? Am I doing it right? And where is my attention? Here. Where is my attention? Not here. So don't worry about doing it right in the recording. That's another benefit of recording as much as you can. Is that if you glub up, if you mess up, if you stumble, if you fall off the coaching wagon or whatever it is, and you don't do brilliant ICF coaching, doesn't matter. You'll have more to come, or you already have some. And one of the biggest benefits of this is that when we are being evaluated, that automatic judger comes up. We're already like, did I do it right? As I just said, am I asking enough powerful questions? Did I check all the box? Was that good? Was that right? Should I have done that? Should I have not done that? We're just automatically evaluating and judging ourselves constantly because we're going to be evaluated on that call. So what we're doing is we're actually manufacturing your own third-party observer. Every single call is now being evaluated. And you will notice, now it's different for every coach, but most likely at some point you will notice your attention go, ooh, wow, was that right? Did I do it okay? I don't know. Oh, and start to evaluate and judge. Because that evaluator is coming in because this is a recording that might be submitted. And so what happens is the more that you bring out this evaluator intentionally, the more you, the coach, get to be comfortable and familiar with it being there. Ideally to the point where you go, yep, I got it. Keep watching. I'm going to be here with my client. You're going to show up fully with your client. That's it. Make it sense? By doing more recordings, you're actually getting yourself familiar and comfortable with somebody's watching and evaluating. Got it. Whatever. I'm going to be here. And that is how you're able to then bring your full self out to your clients. Time and again, I get asked, I've been on master calls and groups where people have asked, what's the most important core competency? And you'll hear coaches say different ones. ICF changed this slightly and they updated their competencies. And in my opinion, I think for the better, for the most part, specifically when they redesigned coaching presence. And I think it could go even further because it's not just coaching presence. It is full presence. If we are fully present with our clients, yes, but also with ourselves. If we're fully present here, we can be fully present there, and both. That's what we're really looking for. So all those distractions and am I going to pass and am I doing it right and am I doing this and all this stuff, now we're not even present to ourselves. But when we can get ourselves here, got it, okay, I'm freaking out over there. This part of me is freaking out about doing it right. I'm over here. And now we're fully present. We're fully present. And that is how you get to then really bring your full self to the game. Full showing up. As I said at the very beginning of this call, it's sign up, which you do, and then show up, which this is what this is all about. This alone, just people type in, this alone is the 4 major structures of what's required. There's more to come. I've got a whole little topic here about your actual coaching, but type in either yes or no. Does this answer all your major questions about the actual exam structure itself? And then we're going to get into your coaching. And if the answer is no, hold on that question. We'll have space. Yeah, beautiful. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you all. Now, that's the structure. This is the requirements that they need. They've got to pass the CKA, the exam, the written exam. Got to have mentor hours. You got to have hours of experience, and you've got to submit your recordings. Yeah, with recordings, you also need to provide a transcript of that so that they can read along and follow and look back and resource things as necessary. That can be done. On your own. You can hire somebody. There are automatic services that are free or low fee online where you just upload your recording and then within 20 minutes or so, it pops out a relatively semi-accurate transcript. My recommendation is to go back through the transcript to make sure everything is clean and clear. You also want to make sure it's timestamped so that they can follow along. The reason for this really is if they want to go back and listen to something, they can find it easily. If they want to double check, wait a minute, did they bring up something or did they mention this before? They can easily refer to it easily. It's just to make their job easy. The whole purpose out of all of this is to make it easy for them to say, yes, you're doing good. That's it. Another thing about the recordings is when you're done recording, there can be an urge to Did I do it right? Did I do it wrong? And then we start going and listening to the listening to the recording through the core competencies. I'm going to have you, before you do that, take a moment after you've done your coaching. If you can, do it while it's still fresh. Don't do this when you're coaching. Why? Because your threat level will get activated and your access to creativity, intelligence, and possibility and power will shut down. So just coach the way you beautifully already do. When you're done with your coaching, take just 5 moments to replay it in your head. Don't listen to it, just replay it. And let yourself really check in what worked about this and what worked about this and what did not work about this. For you, the coach, it's not about, did the client get the magic inspiring results? Did their problem get completely solved? Did all of that stuff? We're not worrying about that. And ICF doesn't care about that either. They're not gonna pass or fail you based on your client's outcome. Because really, let's be honest. Hey client, here's the deal. I'll give you $50 if you just say that was brilliant at the end and then you got something great out of it. That's not coaching. So they're not evaluating the client at all. They're not evaluating the outcome at all. And by the way, there's a bit to back this up, because our coaching is not about fixing problems and getting incredible, fantastic, amazing, world-changing results. I can promise you that, because if you look at the ICF Core Competencies and your coach training, nowhere does it say that. We take that on as our responsibility. It's a natural human urge. Our human survival is based on fixed problems. Notice how this then starts to be a trap for you, the coach. Your client comes to you with an unsolvable problem. And they say, coach, I can't solve this problem. My threat level's going up. My access to creativity, intelligence is going down. Here, you take this unsolvable problem and fix it. Well, you can't do that. So what happens to your threat level? Anybody want to guess? Type it in. What happens? Yeah, your threat level starts to go up. Oh, crap. I've got to fix their problem. What am I going to do? I don't know their problem. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what's going on. I think I know, but it may or may not work for them. And now your threat level starts to go up and your access to your creativity and intelligence and power and possibility goes down, all before you even began. So this is where thank you, Janet. So this is where we need to then recognize, when we focus on the problem and the clients dump the problem on our laps, we take over the problem. And now we're sunk before we even begin. So now we're going to look at, well, what is the purpose of our coaching? If our purpose of coaching is not to fix their problem and to solve their answers, and even to have them leave with a brilliant, incredible, insightful, transformational, revelational miracle, that's not our job. They may get that, and that's wonderful, and it's exciting. It's kind of like crack to us coaches. Ooh, that was so great. I can't wait to coach again. But our coaching is not about the big end result. Our coaching is entirely about 2 things. Every single moment, revealing the client to themselves, helping them discover something in them that they couldn't see, a blind spot, something that covered up, something they're numb to, they're unable to access. Whatever it is, they couldn't even consider. Reveal the client to themselves. Because as we brought up before, right, they're trying to solve an unsolvable problem. And a brilliant coach on this group even said, yeah, because the answer is not in the plane or the level or the realm or whatever it is where the problem lies. They cannot access it. The only way, and this is why coaching works, the only way they get to move forward is to create something new within themselves. new thoughts, new emotions, new beliefs, new actions, new something. That's the only way they're going to get new results. That's it. And by the way, here's another hard truth. Get this. Your clients are coming to you with unsolvable problems. I guarantee you, your clients will leave with those problems still unsolved. They will not get those problems. They may have insights, but their problems will not be fixed. They will not get those incredible results by the time you're done with your coaching session. They will not get big, powerful results and transformation and change, and their problems will not be gone by the end of your coaching session. Why? Somebody unmute. Why? Why is that true? Oh, I know there's a bunch of coaches here. Somebody unmute. Why is that true? Why?
I think because the coaches has to live more to understand after, has to live more after.
Part of it. What else? Somebody else. Why is it true your clients will not get changes and results and their problems fixed by the end of your coaching?
Because it actually takes actions rather than just discussion.
Exactly. And what are they doing right now? They're talking to you. They're not taking action. So I bring this up. It's kind of an obvious thing maybe, but it's actually for you, the coach, to then recognize you cannot fix and solve their problem. It is actually impossible for many reasons, including they have to still take some kind of action. So as coaches, that then hopefully gives you permission to let go of trying to fix the problem, because you can't. You can't. No matter how hard you try, you can't. Here's the other thing. Purpose of our coaching, number one, is to reveal the client to themselves, to help them discover some new way to think and feel and believe and all these inner things, to discover something new or that they couldn't see or something that they forgot. Purpose number two, every single thing that you do in your coaching must be designed to empower the client, the coachee. Empower them. We are of equal power, equal responsibility, equal strength. And the client, think about it again. Client comes to you with problem, unsolvable problem. Coach, I can't fix this problem. Here, fix it for me. And they just gave away their power. And then you go around trying to fix it. You're still holding on to their problem and their power. So we give it back to them, because our job is to empower the client. Here, you take the problem. And every time the client gives you the problem, you give it right back to them. Because we're not working on the problem. And I've seen coaches like posting it. We're not working on the problem, we're working on the person. And that is so little to do with what happened or the results or the tangible or the problem or anything like that. It's about you. What do you want? How do you feel? So here's simple stuff. And by the way, I'll get to the structure in a second. When we do give advice and we do solve their problems, here, client, here's what you got to do. Just do this, go here, take care of that, send this, hang up that, done. Problem solved. There's two things that happen. A, if it doesn't work, as it sometimes doesn't, because all of their variables of life will get in the way or determine the outcome. So when it doesn't work, who gets the blame? And if it goes worse, who gets the blame? and you've taken away their power of ownership and responsibility for the mess that they've created, or for their ability to be responsible to the mess that they're in. One of the biggest revelations that I discovered when I was working with businesses and organizations, and this is with clients too, is for them to get, you are part of the problem. Your client, we so want to blame everybody else. Oh, I'm not getting this because of this, and oh, I can't because of that, and this person's making it hard, and that thing is there, and I can't because of all these things. And all of that may be contributing factors, sure, but to really get, you are part of the problem. You are part of the problem. Your client is part of their problem. But that also means you are part of the solution. Your client is part of their solution. So by stepping away from the problem, then we're able to go to the person and their empowerment and their responsibility. And if we give them the answer and it doesn't work or it gets worse, we get the blame. And if it does work, who gets the credit? We do. Well, my coach told me to do that and it worked. And therefore, I am helpless without my coach. And when the next problem comes around, I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to go and ask my coach again for more help. So when we give them the answer, we take away in exchange, that's the payment. I'm going to give you the answer in exchange for your power. How does that land? That just doesn't sound right. It sure is in coaching. And yet, if I give you your power, you get your own answer. And when it fails, as it might, and they've created it, they get to own it and be responsible to it. And that's the only way they get to rise out of it and grow stronger. There's this whole big wonderful thing about failure is where we learn from and we grow from. But if we take away their power, or if they give away their power, they will not learn from it. If we give them their power and it doesn't work, they still get to learn from it. And when we give them their power and it does work, they get to own it and be responsible to their success, which gives them the place to stretch and grow that success into other parts of their lives. This is the power that we do as coaching. So now let's circle back to, well, how does this show up in our exam? We've got a recording that we need to provide to ICF, and we need to make sure that we're not going to get stuck in this trap with a problem. Because if we do, then we lose our own presence and we take away their power and ownership. And then we're not coaching. It's that simple and that fast. So here's where we get to go. You might have heard this. Some of you get taught this, some of you don't. Some of you get taught other things or variations. Let's make it simple and easy. And I'm also going to back up as to why this works. Because where I sit when I love working is that when I understand why something works, I can trust it more. I know, okay, this works because. So many times I've worked with clients where they go, well, I hope this works, which means I hope this fixes our problems. And I go, no, actually, this works. Coaching works. It may be different than what you think works means, but it works because we're going to a deeper place. So here's the simple structure. When you begin, and this is also stuff you get to practice while you're amassing those extra hours, while you're building up and getting your recordings, you get to practice some of these things. So you start off with the simple question, so what's the topic? What's the problem? What's the issue? What are we going to talk about today? What's the agenda? Doesn't matter what you say, the words, there's no magic phrase, but you need to get clear, what are we going to focus on? Because if we don't have a topic or an agenda, we're just having a great fun conversation. Hey, hey, hey. And there's nothing at the end of this, right? What often happens, remember, our clients are coming to us with unsolvable problems, and it's complex, and it's messy, and it's ugly, and it's big, and it's multi-leveled and layered. Well, I can't do this because of this, and then I tried this, but then this happened and all this thing. And so they dump it all on you on that first call. How many times has that happened? And now they go, here, coach, you fix my big multi-level, complex, and crazy unsolvable problem. And we don't get to do that. Remember, I'm not taking your big, huge, crazy, multi-level, unsolvable problem. Here you go. Take it back, client. Here's what I want you to do. What would you like to focus on for this call? If it's an hour, if it's 45 minutes, if it's a half an hour, if it's 15 minutes. I do tons of 15-minute coaching. It's the same thing. What would you like? What would you like to focus on for this coaching session? And that starts to narrow down the problem. It used to be this big. Now it's like, well, okay, I can't do the whole thing. I can't do all the problems, but out of this, what's the one thing that we want to focus on? And that gives them back their power. And they get to own and be responsible to their problem and their situation. And now they get to narrow it down and pick one smaller area to work on. Keep narrowing it down until you get a clear sense of, yeah, this is something that it's not super massive, complex, multi-layered. It's one thing that we can focus on. Because if you focus on many things, you're not going to go anywhere anyways. You want to go deep with your client. So the first question is really, what is the topic, agenda, problem, issue, focus? What are we going to talk about today? Second question is, what do you want by the end of this coaching, this session? We have that conversation for the bigger term too, right? Well, we're going to be coaching on a 3-month contract, a 6-month contract, whatever it is. What do you want by the end of that time? But here we get to go, what do you want by the end of this session? And listen and let your client really narrow down. Because again, big thing, well, I'm 20 pounds overweight. I got to lose all this weight. I got to do this thing. I got to get a big diet plan. I got to get an exercise program. I got to get motivated and I'm not doing it and all that stuff. They're dumping it on you. What do you want by the end of this? I want to lose 20 pounds. Got it. And you're actually not going to lose 20 pounds by the end of this call. I can promise you that. Remember, I cannot fix or solve your problems, and your problems will not be resolved and gone away by the end of this call. So what do we work on? What specific result would you like to have? Because we actually can create those results. It's just not the big thing. And that's where they get to narrow it down. Oh, I want a list of like the 10 ways that I can go and exercise. Or I want to really clarify what's getting in my way and why do I keep stopping. I want to get a better idea about how I can really show up powerfully and be committed to this. See, already you're actually working with them. There's a mythology here also that you have to get the agenda established in the first 5 minutes, right? Type in, yes. I know many of you have heard that, or 7 minutes or 3 minutes. I don't care what the number is. There's a problem. There's a rightness to this, and that you cannot coach unless you have a clear agenda or topic. You can't. But what that mandate creates in us is an unexpected and unintended impact of first you get the agenda, then you coach. And there's a problem. Now you just cut your coaching short. Now, what if it takes more than 5 minutes? It takes 10 minutes, it takes 15 minutes, it takes 20 minutes, it takes 45 minutes to figure out what the heck we're talking about because the client is in overwhelm or shutdown, or they're in some kind of I don't know, or whatever it is. And now we only got those 5-10 minutes to coach left if we're following that plan. And where I point you to is you are always coaching. Always be coaching. From the moment you pick up that phone, pop in that Zoom, walk in the door, whatever you do, the moment you connect with your client, you are coaching. And in this section here, you're coaching your client on what are we talking about? You're actually coaching them through it, helping them to narrow the focus. What are we going to talk about? What's the one part of this big thing that we get to focus on? That's a coaching question. What do you want by the end of our time together? Let's set a clear endpoint. That's a coaching question. And so you're coaching your client to get clear about what are we going to coach about. And then once you get that identified, once you get that clear, then you get to coach the way you already beautifully do. You're already connected. You haven't taken on your client's problem. You're connecting back to the person. What do you want to work on? How will you measure this endpoint? What will be fulfilling for you by the end of this call to know that you got one step further? What will be you, client? Yay. Thank you, Irina. So that's the big thing. Always be coaching. That's it. To sink this in even further, we all have heard most likely about SMART goals, right? SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-stamped. And there's 57 different versions of that too, depending on who, their version. But that's the basic one. We must have, when we're setting goals, right, with our clients, we set a clear goal. Well, client, what do you want by the end of our coaching? Let's set some goals. And let's make it specific. Let's get numbers. Let's get ways of and to the point. I don't want just general, I want to feel better. No, what are we talking about? What does that mean? When we hear generic phrases like more, less, better, worse, whatever it is, we go into that's vague and fluffy, and it's nothing for us to work on and focus on. So let's get specific. What does more mean? What does less mean? What is this? Oh, I want to feel confident. Great. What does that mean? Let's get specific. I want to feel prepared. Great. What does that mean? Let's get specific. Measurable. How are we going to measure this by the end? Now, numbers are a brilliant way to measure anything. How much weight do you want to lose? How many calories do you want to eat? How much money do you want to make? How much this? How much that? How whatever. If you're measuring something that's unmeasurable, here's a clever, quick little tool. Many of you know this, but it's one of my favorites. I go into much more depth and detail about this in the class, but suffice to say, the scale from 1 to 10 is how you measure the unmeasurable. Those feelings, those experiences, confidence, commitment, happiness, joy, fear, whatever it is. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? Measure it. Oh yeah, my happiness is at a 3 right now. My commitment is at a 7. My compassion is here. My empowerment is there. Whatever it is, if you can't measure it with a scale or with counting, you give it a scale. Scale of 1 to 10. We're narrowing this focus down. Remember, in SMART goals, we have to make sure it's attainable. Is it achievable? Is it something that can be done? And is it realistic in the time frame that we're working with, in the scope of the client, in the world that the client lives in? And also we're setting up SMART goals in our coaching with timestamps. By August 14th, by January 2021, we're giving a clear endpoint. And you all most likely have been taught some version of this in your coach training, or you've heard it somewhere. If you read it in a book, it's common. If you haven't, contact me. I'll walk you through it in much more detail. But instead of SMART goals, you're creating, dear wonderful coaches, you're creating SMART agendas. I know some of you are already going, wait a minute, this is what he just talked about. So client, What are we talking about? Specific, not all the big stuff. Let's get specific. What's the one thing that we're going to focus on out of all this stuff? By the way, you can also let them know there's an assumption. I know you got all these different factors involved. They're all intertwining. They're all making things complex and messy. But if they're intertwined, that means if you work on one, you're working on all of them to some degree. So now, instead of trying to work on all of them, let's work on one. It's a lot easier, and all the other parts get affected somehow. So what's the one specific thing? And what do you want by the end of our call, our session today? Measurable. How will we measure this, our success on this coaching? It's a feeling scale from 1 to 10. It's an experience scale from 1 to 10. I'll have something tangible and physical. Whatever it is, how do we measure it? Is it attainable? Is it realistic? Can we actually devote and accomplish this? Does it feel like it's something we can accomplish in this time? We may not. That's okay. We're just setting the end point. And then the end point is also time-stamped by the end of our call. And for anybody who's ever gone on vacation, and I know every single one of you have done that, I hope. We don't go on vacation. We don't just like, well, let's just go on vacation. We're going to go and get on a plane, see where it takes. I don't know. It'll take us somewhere. You get clear. Where do you want to go on vacation? Where do you want to go? Specifically, where do you want to end up? And you get clear about all of that. And then everything else falls into place. All the hows, when you, the same thing with our coaching. What do we want? Where are we now? Where are we now? Where's we stuck? Where's our beginning point? What do you want by the end of our coaching time together? You got the beginning and the end established. Now, coach, brilliantly, you get to fill in the gaps in the middle. And while you're also clarifying and deepening that topic and focus with your client, you're constantly listening for clues. Listening for what the client, what's going to really help the client best. Is this about empowering them and engaging them and activating their values and their purpose and their meaning and their strength and their power and all that wonderfulness inside them? Is this about they're just stuck in a limiting perspective and they need to find other ways to look and think and feel and believe about this situation or themselves? Or is there stuff that's hidden and getting in the way and that needs to be opened up and revealed? Or that they're numb to, they're not paying attention to, and they're running around in circles and they don't even know it. And there's all these different common experiences that we show up in coaching, and we've learned different ways to approach and handle that. Each one of those, hopefully. And so while we're clarifying what we're talking about, as coaches, we're picking up little clues about how we can best serve this client. So that when we get that end point clear, we get the beginning point clear. Now, as coaches, we're so much more easily able to fill in the middle. Here's where we get to go with our coaching. Here's how we're going to go and get to the end of that. We're not fixing their problem. We're opening up a pathway to go down with them. That pathway may change directions. We're not locked in and attached to it's supposed to go this way, but we have a clarity about let's go. And that's it. It's simple. Okay, I mentioned, I was going to tell you my failing story. I'll do this really, really quickly. This was way back in many years ago, and this is where you actually I took my exam in person. No pressure, right? And we were being videotaped. No pressure, right? And the evaluators were right there with their notepads. No pressure, right? And I was coaching one of the evaluators. So Mr. Hotshot Coach here, who knows everything about coaching, is up there. And it was my second time around. And I'm working with this coach, and I will never forget her. She provided such an incredible lesson to me without even knowing that she was doing it probably. So she brought a real topic and a real issue. because she knows enough to be a real client. So she's putting her coaching part aside and she's showing up as just a client. And she gives me her problem. This is what I want to work on. And I go, got it. And my brain starts going into performance mode. Okay. Well, my first one is I really showed off this side and it was really beautiful there and I was really great in listening to all this stuff. And then I asked these powerful questions there. So this time I'm going to show a different side of my coaching, show my versatility, show my range, show how awesome I am. So I'm thinking maybe I'll go and dig into this. Clearly she's stuck in a limiting perspective. So I'm going to do a little brilliant fancy dancing around perspectives and exploring different points of view and all that stuff. It's going to be really great. Meanwhile, this poor client, this wonderful woman is trying to tell me her story and where she's feeling stuck. And I'm busy being brilliant, not working. And so I'm starting to like ask these sort of like awesome, brilliant coaching questions that are like on this list. And oh, this question always gets them all the time. This is the one that'll do it. And I'm bringing in my whole arsenal of brilliant coaching questions and they're not landing at all because I'm way over here doing coaching. She's way over here being a client and we're not meeting. So I will never forget this. She stopped me in my brilliance and looked at me deadlocked in the eyes. Literally, I am not kidding you, took my face in her hands to capture and force me to look at her, to create that connection. And she said, Coach, I need you to take me here. And I went, right. So if I do this other thing, then I could also be really brilliant. And then I also had that question. And I failed pretty easily. I thought to the very moment it was so brilliant because I wasn't paying attention and connecting to her. I go back to that most important, it's all about not just coaching presence, it's presence. It's being clear where you are in this. What are you wanting to create and bring and provide? The class that I mentioned, the Fast Path to Masterful Coaching, takes all, this is like before the first lesson, but it takes everything that I've told you, all the lessons, all the concepts, and sinks it deeper. How to do it, how to access your full coaching self. The simplicity of it is, if I had just taken that moment to acknowledge, to recognize to myself, wow, I'm working really hard to impress. At the same time, they were preparing, it was at a hotel, they were preparing for a wedding and they were testing the sound system and the music was booming and blaring. And so I was also really working hard to prove that I wasn't being impacted by this noise that's bothering and making it hard for me to concentrate. So I'm just going to really be hard and focus and clear that I'm not being destroyed. I was also getting over a fast, nasty bout of a 24-hour flu bug. And so I was working really hard to manage myself, engage my energy, and make sure that I kept it going and pace myself and prove that I could still do this. And it was all about me. So the big trap is we get hooked on trying to fix our clients' problems. And the second is that we get stuck in our own world. But if we actually are present to it, wow, I'm getting tired here. Wow. There's a lot of noise that's making it hard to think. Wow, I'm really nervous and I want to make sure that I impress you. Whether or not I voice it, maybe, or that I at least voice it to myself. When you get present to yourself, you then open up to your full intellect realm, but also your heart, your body, and your spirit, your passion, and your purpose that you are here to be. Okay, I want to make sure I have time for questions. I also want to point everybody to a couple of resources. I said the Coaching Skills Forum, go to coachingskillsforum.com. Go to my website. Also, I have created a membership platform that's got those 340 recordings and more, videos of insights and nuggets and value, documents to download, spreadsheets to log your hours, insights, discoveries, newsletters, all this stuff, tons and tons and tons of resources for you, and it's all free. Please take it. There is a higher level that is available that's got all master classes and all that stuff. You don't have to be an MCC to join, but that would be a fee. But at the very least, join the free membership base. Get all of that content and more to help you grow your coaching. Tons of recordings and videos and documents and things, whatever you're looking for, it's there. And if it's not there, send me an email or let me know, and I will make sure something is there, because my job is to help however I can. The other thing is the class, and I'm going to send out a little thank you to everybody who registered for this. If you're on this call today, thank you. If you missed it, that's okay. Thank you. Hopefully you'll catch the recording. But also, I'm going to send after this an invite to join a preview of my upcoming class, the Fast Pass to Masterful Coaching. There is no obligation to sign up. It's just to help answer more advanced questions, tell you more about what the class is. It's going to be beginning in a week, and the module 1 will be kicking off, and it's an incredibly powerful advanced coach growing program. It's been around for over 10 years. I would match it up against anything that is out there as one of the best experiences that you could ever give to your coach. It is all about growing you. So I'm going to send that link to join in on that conversation. It's free. If you want to sign up and take the rest of the course, fantastic, love to have you. And if you don't, that's okay too. Maybe one day, maybe never. My job is to help you. So those I wanted to make sure you got. All that information is at my main website, bedo.org, B-E-D-O, as in being and doing. Because my job here is to help you be the coach you are truly here to be, so that you can do the coaching that's needed in the world. And with that, I'm going to then take a completion. I'm sure there's things that I've missed, but this is where I want to make sure I have space for any lingering questions. So either unmute or type in your question. Oh, I'll throw in quickly, somebody mentioned about accountability and completion for your recordings. Obviously, of course, you personally want to have a nice completed experience. For ICF, they do want a completed experience. They want you from beginning to end, not that it's all tied up and all the problems are solved. Think of it like you're co-writing a chapter in the novel of your client's life. And this is just the end of the chapter. Everything isn't resolved. We've just gotten to a close to this coaching. There's 4 ways to do it powerfully. I don't have time to throw that in, but suffice to say, you know at least one of them, and the ICF just wants to know you know. They do want to make sure that you are revealing all of the core competencies, because if you don't reveal them, they don't know that you know. So that's the important thing. And that's part of that checklist that you naturally are going to be throwing in there, which is why that getting used to that evaluating, oh, did I do it? Oh, did I do this? Did I do that? You're getting familiar and comfortable with it. Okay. Thank you so much. Please, I'd love to take more questions, but I want to thank just all the, thank you. Yes, I like to think that I am a great mentor. My commitment is to grow you, not to teach you my way, to help you discover your way. Thank you. I love being awesome. You are too. And I love helping coaches like you grow in every way. Okay. People are unmuted. You can also type in your questions. What questions are still lingering that I can answer in the next 15-ish minutes? And by the way, a free coaching session if I did not answer your question. I made that declaration. Crap. Now I'm going to pay for it. Did I answer every question you possibly could have about your ICF upcoming exam? That's so exciting.
Ben, it's John Murphy here. I was
John.
doing some multitasking actually while you're doing this. I was in on your website. Is there a reason why I need to fill in my credit card details actually I know it's a zero cost actually, but why is it asking me that?
Ooh, you know what? I can probably change that. That's the plugin program. It will not be used for anything, but if you want to upgrade, then it's already in the system. But it will not be used for anything without your permission.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check to see if I can actually remove that from the requirement for the free thing. That shouldn't be there. But it is for the paid levels, definitely.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right, questions?
A quick question, Ben.
Yes.
Hi, this is Bala. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it
Oh,
so
my
much.
pleasure. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. A quick question to you is that before we arrive at the goal, there is some amount of exploration needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I could understand that the call duration to submit is typically 30, 35 minutes or max 40 minutes.
The recording that you're submitting,
Yes,
they want anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes. And it's advisable that way anyways. Here's how I break it up. If you're coaching less than 30 minutes, the purpose of the exam is for them to recognize and celebrate and for you to reveal your coaching. Less than 30 minutes, it's doable. But if we want to do it thoroughly, 30 minutes gives you plenty of time to make sure that all core competencies get to be revealed and present. There are many times when I do even like 15 and 20-minute sessions, it's a little harder to notice sometimes. If we get more than 60, okay, you're hooked on trying to fix the problem and you're doing a lot of stuff in there that's not coaching. It may be helpful, but it's likely not coaching if you're taking 60 minutes. If you're taking longer than 60 minutes to really get to it, then something's going on that's actually clogging up your coaching flow. So that's what I make up about it, and that keeping it between 30 and 60. The sweet spot for me when I'm listening, evaluating is around 40, 45 minutes, and then you've got a little extra buffer time in case you need it. If it gets to over 60 minutes and you submit it, they will stop. And if you didn't get to, homework or accountability or whatever it is, doesn't matter. So keep it safe. And that's the other thing, by doing this and practicing more and more, everybody's coaches are on different time frames. Some coaches coach half an hour, some coaches coach an hour, some do 2 hours because that's just the design that they were either taught or that they agreed with their clients or that the business requires. So for ICF, this is where you get to practice that 30 to 60 minute time frame. And even then, there's quite a bit of leeway. Thank you. And I forgot to mention that you get a complimentary session. Just contact me, email me and say, hey, let's sign up. I'm happy to do it.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? See, it's just that easy. A complimentary coaching session worth millions of dollars. Or, well, somewhere around that. I'm rounding, really. What else? What other questions? Oh, I should look. I'm working toward my MCC. You know what, Janet, I'm happy to help you. There's a couple of logistics and details going towards MCC that tend to be a little tricky and confusing. So just go to my website. There's a scheduler link to sign up and find a time for us to work together. And I'm happy to walk you through all of that and help fill in more gaps. Let's see, if you come from the ACT path, you don't have to provide a recording. That is correct. There are 3 different pathways of ICF credentialing. There is the ACTP, which is Approved Coach Training Program, and that's when you're working with an organization that provides their own certification, training, and exam. It's basically, think about it this way, one way or another, you need to have your coaching evaluated. So either your training program is evaluating and approving it, or ICF is. So with the ACTP, Approved Coach Training Program, that's basically you've already had your coaching evaluated and approved and acknowledged at being this level. The other levels, the other pathways for ICF are the ACSTH, which my training is approved approved coach-specific training programs, which we don't provide certification exams, but we provide deep, powerful training. And that will help you fulfill those hours of training and those requirements if you need them. And then the third one is portfolio, which is I'm going to kind of piece it all together and do a class here and do a training there and do a weekend there and kind of get all my training together. Those last 2 still have to have your coaching evaluated. So that's what we're talking about. Everybody has to do the coach knowledge assessment, whatever pathway you're taking. But if you're doing the ACSTH or the portfolio, that's where you need to provide your recordings. The assumption is if you're going through ACTP and you've been certified through a coach training program, you've already fulfilled everything, including you had a mentor, including you've had your coaching evaluated and all of that stuff. And so then the assumption with ICF is you've already fulfilled all of their requirements through your coach training. So in that sense, then it becomes a nice little sort of twofer. You just take your certificate, submit it to ICF, and then they go, got it, you covered it as well. If you haven't and you're doing the ACSTH or the portfolio process, then that's where you need to get the mentoring and the hours and the recordings and all that stuff. And you're just doing it on your own, not part of a coach training. Simple. Let's see, what other, thank you, Ben. You're welcome, Janet. Thank you. You're welcome, Wendy. Any other questions? Happy to answer anything. Okay. I'm going to assume if there's no questions coming up, and if somebody asked something earlier in the body, I haven't been able to watch thoroughly. So, you know, don't assume that, oh, he said it. Just if I answered your question, great. If I didn't, please ask it again. In the meantime, I do want to thank everyone for coming to this call. It's been quite a delight. It actually, I ended up sharing even more than I thought I was going to share. And I managed to pack in even more than I thought I was going to provide. So I'm really glad to be able to do that. My website, once again, somebody's asking, is bedo.org, B-E-D-O, as in being and doing.org. And I'm going to type it in. There we go. Bedo, not bedoy. That's bedo.org. Email, it's pretty simple. It's ben@bedo.org. That's where you'll also be able to get the access to all that free membership, including all the Coaching Skills Forum recordings. Come to those calls live too. They will stretch and grow you. And I want to make actually, I'll even get a little kind of wild and radical here because my commitment is to help coaches grow, succeed, discover, reveal, access, and bring out and stand proudly as the coach you are here to be. So even if you didn't ask one of the questions I was missing, which, you know, so Bela, thank you. You get that complimentary call, but I'd love to offer a complimentary call to everyone on this recording or anybody on this video. And if you're listening to the recording, you'll know that this offer is available to you too. If you don't listen to it, you're not going to get this offer, and I'm sorry, but it's a 100% guaranteed. Happy to help you. No sales, no promotion, no push, no obligation. If you want to continue working together, if you want to hire me as your mentor, if you want to join in one of my classes or groups, that's great. And if not, I get to help you on that one call. That's the most important thing, because this is not about me. It's about you. And it's about how you get to help all the people that you talk with. So remember when I mentioned at the beginning about, or in the early part about coaching coaches. Coaching coaches is great. For a learning place, it's difficult and it's not as valuable as we'd like to think it would be. But for me, coaching coaches is an honor and a privilege because my job here is to help you grow. And everything that I get to do continues on through your clients and their world and their circles. So if it's a long-term I get to work with you, if it's on a complimentary call that you're all invited to take advantage of, go to my website. There's a link there to my calendar and you can schedule and sign up. I recommend you do it quickly because apparently spots are going to start filling up because there's a bunch of people here. And even if it's just on this webinar, I thank you so much for being here or listening to this because I get to help you in some way. So unless there's any other questions here, we're going to wrap up this bad boy and go off on our merry ways. Take what you've learned today. Take one thing you've learned and apply it to your coaching, not just to your exam. Everything that we've gone through, the exam is just a marker. What's important is what happens with you beyond your exam. If it's just passing your exam, then you passed it, great. For me, when I got my MCC, I got my MCC. I wasn't a better coach because I got my MCC. My coaching didn't change from one night to the next when I suddenly got certified. I was the same coach, and my journey continued on beyond that. Because who you are is not about your credentials. Your credentials only represent and indicate and suggest what kind of coaching you do. Who you are is what you get to decide and bring. And that's the important part. Who is this coach? Who is he or she? What is her awesomeness? What is her skill? What is her power? What is her passion? What is his purpose? What is all of that? And then bring it to your coaching. Okay.
Actually, Ben, sorry, one quick one, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm just going to. I'm actually looking at whether I go for ACC or PCC. Now, I don't have enough hours yet for PCC.
Right.
I'm at what, just under 400.
Yeah, if you're at 400, it's kind of your call. You can go and get your ACC now, and then just later, when you get your PCC, or when you have enough, then you just upgrade to your PCC. Or it may just be worth it just to hold for a little bit, wait until you get those hours, and then submit. What will happen is one of two things. First, you need to make sure you fulfilled all the requirements. So if you fulfilled all the requirements for PCC, great. And then what's needed is your evaluation of your coaching. If you test at PCC level and you fulfilled the PCC requirements, you get that PCC. If you test at an ACC level and you fulfill the PCC requirements, you'll get your ACC, but you've already fulfilled all those things. So when you get stronger in your coaching, when you've worked with a mentor, you've taken more courses, whatever, and you've gotten sharper and stronger in your coaching, you just resubmit and you've already got all the other things fulfilled. So you just submit your recordings. So either way, it's kind of a win-win-win. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. My pleasure. Any other questions that you couldn't think of? And then as soon as we're done, you go, oh, I was going to ask that question. Well, you've got a complimentary session coming up. So keep it in mind. Don't forget it then. Write it down. Go to my website, bedo.org, and sign up for that free call. And I will be happy and honored to help you in any way I can. Thank you all for being here. Go and, as I was saying, go and take one thing you've learned today and put this into your coaching, because it's not about what you do and passing, because once you pass it, you still get to be the coach that you are. And that's what this is really all about. All right. Thank you all so much. Go. Have a wonderful high fives all around. Woo, woo, virtual high fives. And thank you. Thank you all. I look forward to helping each and every one of you one little bit further. Okie dokie. And I think we're done. All righty. Stop the recording. This is where it's just so clunky. All right. Now for reals. I'm done recording.